says, I just sold my $5 million home in the first week it was on the market. Or he says, my $10 million listing is already under contract. I have so many referrals that I need to make a client wait list. Okay. So these are things that he's talking about himself. If you were him, if you were in that situation and someone was asking you about, where you were as a real estate agent, how would you describe yourself? I mean, it could be in sales, it could be in money, it could be in how you just feel. Average, good, very good, like still working at it, trying to figure things out. What is your top sales, your top sales, or the biggest closing sale that you made? So think about that and write that down under the you now. And if any of you want to share, chat, or raise your hand, or just unmute yourself.
And I was remiss, I didn't notice that Laura Farr wrote she's planning for retirement and having renters pay their mortgages for 20 years. So I didn't notice the chat.
Oh, well, you know what? So I'm not seeing that in the chat. Is there a reason why I'm not seeing that?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. I think I had to click on this. Yeah, paying for retirement. Yeah. Yeah. And the mortgage. I'm still there. I'm still there. So, all right. So let's go to the you at your fullest potential. So I want you to think about that guy that I was just talking about that was really fluffing himself up, talking about himself. But, he's making game. He's really on. Where do you see yourself at your fullest potential? If there was nothing, no obstacles in the way, where would you be at your fullest potential? Can you describe who you'd be as a realtor? Like you could describe where you are financially. You could describe how many houses you've sold, or what your inventory of houses is that you're, whatever it is that is going to make you the you at your top potential. And if any of you want to put that in the chat, that would be really helpful for me.
Could you give some examples, please?
So in other words, Carrie, can you help me out with this?
Sure.
Because
yeah.
Okay.
So for example, maybe you have a listing surplus of about 20 million and you're getting about another 50 million coming, and you're on target to close about 100 million that year. And most of the business is referral business. I mean, that sounds pretty good. Does anyone like that? But you know what? Why am I saying 100 million? Let's go for 200 million because we want to beat McKnight, right? That's the kind of thing.
You want to kind of imagine that you as your best you, without any obstacles, it's going to get
what could you be accomplishing? Right. So like Jules, maybe you are the controlling agent in Bella Collina, and everybody who's listing their home is listing it with you, right? That kind of thing. So you're dominating the Bella Collina market. You're dominating the Celebration market. Everybody's calling you to be their top listing agent. Because of that, you have now closed, $30 million in the last quarter in Bella Collina. You've closed another $20 million in the last quarter in Celebration, like that kind of thing.
Okay,
Does anybody like that? That sounds pretty good, right?
So just kind of jot down you as your best you. You describe that for a minute. So
I'm going to have a best you. My agents are all doing so amazing, and they come to all of my training. Wouldn't that be amazing?
In person.
In person. That would be so great. I could dream, can't I?
Well, I'm pretty impressed with the number of people that are here. I mean, I don't know if everybody is here. I'm seeing their screen, but I think most people are here. I'm hoping. But you've got it quite an office full, so great. So now I want you to take a minute, and if you wouldn't mind, we're going to do a little visualizing activity. And this is kind of my thing that I do with my clients, and it really does make a little bit of a difference. So I'm going to ask you to really think about who you are at your fullest potential, who you are going to be. I mean, if there were no obstacles in the way, and I want you to visualize it, but I would love it if you could close your eyes and visualize it, because I want to take you through a few scenarios. So just take a second and close your eyes and a big deep breath in and become you at your fullest potential. And I want you to think about where you are at your fullest potential. Are you in an amazing mansion that you are selling and this buyer is so interested? Are you at an awards dinner receiving a top award? Are you at a happy hour or a party that's celebrating you because you've been so successful? Are you on a vacation because you now have the money and the means to do it? So picture that. So you have the where. What are you hearing from people around you? Maybe you're at a happy hour and people are just slapping you on your back and saying, oh my God, congratulations. I can't believe you just sold that $20 million house. What are you hearing? What are you hearing maybe from your family members on your vacation or when you come home? What are you hearing your colleagues say? And what's the atmosphere like? Is it uplifting? Is it energetic? Is it electric? And I want you to think about yourself in that situation. And now take another deep breath in and go into what you're feeling inside, because it's got to be a good feeling. But I don't want you to use the word good. I want you to think of a word that describes this. So is it ecstatic? Is it highly satisfied? Is it exciting? Is it like so confident? Is it totally fulfilling? Whatever that feeling or those feelings are, I want you to hold on to it for another huge breath. And as you exhale, start opening your eyes and come back into the reality. And can you take a minute and just write down the feeling or feelings that you felt underneath? It says number 4, ultimate feelings. Okay, and I'm hoping for everyone that that was an even better feeling than you're feeling now. And that maybe you're thinking, I would really like to get there. So while you're thinking about this still, why is it important to you that you do get to your fullest potential and that you have that feeling and that you're where you are? Why is it important to you? Just jot it down or put it in the chat or raise your hand and let me know. So that's on number 5. Why is it important to you to be there? And at number 6, what will this do for you? If you're there, what will unfold for you? What doors might open? What other possibilities are there that you don't have now? And I'm sure some of you might have written somewhere in there your family, but if you didn't, who else will benefit? Who else in your life will benefit? Maybe your parents by being so proud, your kids, your friends. I don't know, but you know. So take a look at those last few things from your best you down and just take a look at those again, reread them real quickly. Would you like to become that person? Okay, I see a couple heads nod. That's great. Okay, so as we turn the page to this next packet or the next page of this packet, I want you to think about that big, bold print on the top. What is preventing you from being you at your fullest potential? So take a minute and list some things or put it in the chat. I would love to see what it is that's preventing you. Because life is life. We've got things that get in our way. What are some things? Susan, did you want to say something? Okay, so does anyone want to share?
Probably myself.
Okay, what do you mean by yourself?
I think I limit myself sometimes. I never think.
Self-limiting beliefs.
Self-limiting, yes.
Mhm.
So
Instead of
is that what they are, self-limiting beliefs? Or is it that you're kind of
Well,
afraid to?
I've achieved a lot already, and I feel like sometimes when you've achieved great goals and you've gotten to a certain point that you're almost contented and not pushing yourself.
Okay, so content. Okay, contentment is a real factor there. Okay, and it might be that you're at a plateau of contentment.
Yeah. But my husband keeps me motivated because he's like, you're not quitting anytime soon, so.
Well, that's a motivator.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anyone else?
I want to like to say something.
Sure.
Sure.
I am a little technology challenged,
Okay,
I would say.
you know what? That's a
So
real
that
thing.
holds me back a little bit.
Okay.
Although, Barbara, you've been doing so much better. I am so proud of you.
You know, Carrie.
Well, listen, Carrie
I
had to
try.
help me with a couple things on Instagram, okay? So, I mean, believe me, technology challenge is, it's totally a real thing.
You know, when you get to a certain, as Maria was saying, when you get to a certain age and you're trying to catch up with all this new technology, it's like, where do I go? Where do I start? You know, it's like, so I'm really challenged with that. And normally I don't like to be on video. So
Okay.
I'm trying to see if I could learn to do that.
That's terrific though, because you've got a growth mindset. So you are trying to learn how to do something. I know technology can be overwhelming. And I think that you do have to kind of have that growth mindset because it can be very, oppressive sometimes, oppressive feeling when you don't know what you're doing with it. So that's great, Barbara. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else?
Go ahead, Alejandra.
Are you answering the fullest potential one?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I would say probably just, for me personally, it's like just, the self-doubt of limiting, like Maria was saying, like, you know, you reach a certain thing, and it's like, okay, to get to the next, I think of it in rooms, to get to the next room. It's like, okay, I've already reached this room, but to get to the next room, it's like kind of hard to get there because you don't see yourself being in that specific room itself. So just, I guess, like doubting yourself, whether or not you can actually achieve it. So.
That's great. And that's very true. That's kind of a little bit, I think, of what, I didn't get the name of the other colleague, your other colleague at the opposite side of the room, but
Alejandro.
Alejandra.
Yeah.
So I
Oh,
think that is a
great.
very true statement. I agree with you that that can be very daunting at times, and sometimes just like, you know, not feeling that confidence. So thanks for sharing. I really appreciate it. Anyone else?
I am gonna say for me, time, because I get very distracted by trying to help so many people. And I do try to time block as much as I can, but I always tend to put my own things last, whether it's my kids, my agents. My husband says he's last, but he's not. I'm last. He's second to last.
Well, I know. I tell you what he does. No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, and that's the reality, right? It's so even though you time block it, it is a challenge.
Yeah, time is not usually anybody's friend, and that's especially as we get older. So, I mean, that is the way it is. But all right, so let's talk about some things that you could do to improve your results. And some of you actually talked about some of that self-limiting, and then there's technology, and just that whole confidence, or even getting to a place where you're content. So so let's think about, what is one work task that you could do to overcome maybe some of this? But even if you can't overcome it, what is one task you could do at work, or that's in your work day, that you could just put in a little more effort and you'd get better results? Now, for this, I really need help because, you guys are realtors. I'm not. I don't know all the ins and outs. I know you sell houses, and I know you close, and I know you have, a lot of prep and so forth. But what are some other tasks that might be going on at work that you could just put a little more effort in and see a little more results?
Time block.
Mm-hmm.
Time blocks.
Schedule it in your day and then stick to it. Just at least try it for a week or 2 days, just to
Stick to it.
stay in it, because I feel like I'm constantly like, oh, okay, now I have to call title about something, or,
Or like for you, Carrie, you're a great caller.
yeah.
So if you scheduled in calling,
Discipline, to do the calling,
you
every
could,
single day.
imagine how many more listings you would have.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's huge. And I think the thing about that space of time blocking, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, that's so important. But yes, so that kind of stuff. And then, knowing that, oh, you've got to call the title company, or as you're making these calls, you're thinking of all these other things you have to do, and then you're just doing them.
And
Anyone
Marie,
else?
she's talking about calling sellers. She cold calls. So she calls sellers to get listings. So that's a prospecting. So agent spending time prospecting is something that would directly result in more business.
Okay, all right, that's good to know. That's really good to know. Because I wanted to, and I'm sorry, did someone else have something?
Yeah.
For me, it's getting out and meeting our people. I get
Networking.
I'm
home
sorry.
and I'm content with being at home and
Mhm.
don't want to go out once I'm at home. So it's getting out and going to,
Community events.
a while back, we went to one of the restaurants and sat at the bar, had Diet Cokes, and we opened up our computers and we're sitting there talking about real estate, and the couple next to us, oh, you're a real estate agent? Yeah, we're here right now looking for a property, and now they're in my database for a purchase sometime this year. So, $5 for 2 Cokes, and we got a buyer on there.
Mhm.
But that was 2 months ago, and we haven't gone out and done that again.
Mhm.
And it worked. And we get home and it's like, I don't want to go back out, and it's just, we need to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, what a great story. I love that. And what a great way to get motivated to get back out. I mean, I understand. I totally understand, because I do not go to the gym. I do it here because I know that on the way home from work, it would never happen. So I get it. But the prospect of getting out. So if you were to do that, maybe a couple more times, a week or once a week, it would probably bring in more results, right? So I want to talk to you guys about these obstacles. So if you look at number 10 and 11 on this, what's taking your attention away from this, or what's depleting your batteries or energy? And I can say that to, and Carrie, can you help me with this gentleman's name?
Keith.
Keith? So what Keith might, we get to that afternoon time, and, some of us feel very depleted. and to go out to make the effort to get up and get out of the house again, that's exhausting. But if it's a chance of bringing in results, maybe we can figure out a way to make it not as exhausting, you know? Well, and as far as taking your attention away, when we talk to, I'm at a loss for words, but the girl that does the cold calls,
Carrie,
Carrie, the same name as you. So
Same
what
as me.
Carrie, you know, so what's taking your attention away from it when you know you've got other things to do and you're making these calls, but oh, you've got to
Everything.
follow up with this person or that person. So if you get a chance, can you just list what's taking your attention away and or what's depleting or causing the lack of motivation to do that task, that work task that you can improve? And each of you came up with something different that you could improve upon. So I want to talk to you about these obstacles, because remember I said, it wouldn't it be great if you could be your potential self and you had no obstacles getting in your way? So these little obstacles that are getting in the way of preventing you from making that extra effort, either getting out or staying focused for that time, or, you know, even just feeling a little bit more like motivated to get past that complacent, or I want to say, yeah, complacent, content plateau. Sometimes they're just individual distractions, and sometimes they're just habits. And I want to talk to you for a few minutes about habits. Habits are formed by our brains to allow reward or pleasure without much brain power. So we can use our full power, or the majority of our power, brain power, on challenges or creativity. And that's just how it works. It's a great system when these habits are working for your benefit, because habits are really the compound interest of, if they're working for your benefit, they're the compound interest of self-improvement. But when they're working against you, they're the compound interest of self-destruction. Now, mind you, I don't think any of you are in a destructive mode, but if you continued some of the habits like that self-limiting belief or just being content where you are, you may take a slide somewhere, and you know that would be somewhat destructive, probably in your financial situation. So I would like you to try and just take a minute and think about all the things that you do during a workday that are routines or habits. Now, granted, you have your life outside of work and your life in work. And some of them intermingle, and some of your outside of work can affect your inside of work and vice versa, right? So I want you to think about particularly the habits or routines that affect your, and I'm going to say your work, positively or negatively. And we're going to flip to the third page. And what I have is a list. It's called the sequential habit list. Now, this is a lot, and I don't expect you to fill it all in today. But I want you to take a few minutes, and I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to write down all the things that are routines and habits of the workday. And I know you guys have varying schedules, so as best you can, try to list it sequential. So for instance, if you show houses in the morning, or you do some stuff at home, but then you go into the office later, you know, maybe what do you do in those spaces in sequence? Because if you're not aware of what you're doing and how they affect you, it can't change, because they're kind of habits or becoming habits, right? So if you notice on this sheet, on this chart, the second column says helping with a plus sign and hindering with a minus sign. So you want to take a look at that habit and really think, is this helping me or hindering me getting to that fullest potential as a real estate advisor? Okay, underneath that, there's a little very washed out word, neutral. And I got this list from a book called Atomic Habits, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. And he has neutral in it. But I will tell you that I've done this, and I honestly can't think of a thing that's neutral. It's either going to help me or hinder me. I mean, realistically. So just if you could fill out as best you can in the next 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes, your daily routines or habits on your workday, and then rate them with a plus sign or a minus sign. So I'm not saying you have to put everything, you don't have to put like brush my teeth, wash my face, wash my hair. You don't have to do that, but you could just put AM hygiene, you know? But if in the middle of it, you're throwing in some laundry, that may have maybe a plus because yeah, you're throwing in laundry, you're getting that done, but maybe it's taking a little more time away from you. Okay, another example is like throwing on the morning show as you're watching. Well, if you didn't have that on, would you be concentrating a little more on what you're going to do today? So think about how these routines and habits affect you. Okay. So I'm going to put on a little music while you guys are taking that time. And I hope you like it. But I'm going to give you, about 4 minutes or so. Okay.
Marie, we don't hear music.
Oh, really?
Mm-mm.
Okay, hang on a minute.
Mm-mm.
You hearing anything?
Mm-mm. No.
I wonder if it's because it's on my computer and not on the Zoom. I don't know how to send it to Zoom. An issue with tech. All right, I'm gonna put it up anyway and just see what I can. No?
Mm-mm.
All right. I guess I'll have to work on that. All right, well, let's just take another minute or so.
Okay.
Okay, now, of course, I don't expect you to fill all of this in, and I want you to think about it as you do go through your day in the next week or so. Maybe add some things in. Think about how that routine or habit is helping you or hindering you. Okay, but in the meantime, now I know you guys are all ninjas, so I'm going to assume there's probably more pluses than minuses. In fact, for some of you, maybe you don't have any minuses. And my hat's off to you. I know in my life, I have some minuses. Most people do. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to start talking a little bit, and you can still keep filling this out, but I want you to listen as I'm talking because I just read a book by James Clear called Atomic Habits. And I have to tell you, it was absolutely amazing. And I think everybody should read this book, no matter what field you're in. But what he talks about is atomic habits, meaning tiny habits that make up a larger system, the way atoms are the building block system that make up a molecule. What he says is that these tiny habits can build remarkable results. In fact, if you improved on one task or started a new habit, and gave it 1% every day, believe it or not, you will improve by 37% by the end of the year, which might bring some powerful results. So realizing this, it's really important to focus on the system to get to the goals rather than just the goals. So that vision that I asked you to envision of yourself as your potential, well, you've got to find a way to get there. And you want to make sure that it is not temporary, because goals sometimes can be just temporary. Because if you don't have a system set in place to keep getting those same results or growing those results, then you're always going to be striving for how to get there again. Okay? So the system or process by which you get to a goal are those little habits that you combine that are those building blocks. For example, I'm going to just make up a person, Sally. And Sally is kind of a lounger. Years ago, she, ran track in high school, but she hasn't run for a long time, 15 years. One of her friends says, I want to do a marathon, in 6 months from now. I would love it if you could come with me. And Sally, the lounger, is like, maybe I will do that. So she decides, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. But she doesn't go out the next day and run 26 miles. She goes out and she gets up the next morning, she does some stretching. And then maybe the next day, she does a little bit more, puts on her tennis shoes. Maybe the next day, she does the stretches, tennis shoes, and she's going for a little jog around the block, and so forth. And this builds. And then eventually, what happens is she starts thinking about other areas in her life. And she's like, well, I'm going to eat healthier. Instead of a burger, I'm going to have a salad. Maybe she starts thinking about her sleep habits and, that she needs to get a little more sleep to give that little more energy. And what she's doing is she's making choices that are starting to fulfill the identity she wants to become. So when she makes a choice to eat better or to get some better sleep or to make sure she goes for her run, even if it isn't 26 miles, she's adding a vote. She's casting a vote for being a runner rather than a lounger. So, and it's not that you can't vote every once in a while for being a lounger, but the reason why I'm using votes is because the more votes you have in the direction you want to go, the more your identity gets changed by that. Because all those votes you casted, all those actions that you made are actually evidence that you are becoming a runner, that you are a runner rather than a lounger. So I'm going to give you another example. 2 smokers trying to quit. They go to a party, it's an outdoor party. A friend offers each one of them a cigarette. The first one says, no, thanks, I'm really trying to quit. The second one says, no, I'm not a smoker. So one of them has already, the idea of not smoking has resonated with them and it's becoming his identity, where the other one is still wavering back and forth. And you get the feeling that maybe he might just go for the cigarette one of these days. So you've really got to make that plan of what vote you're going to cast. Is it for the realtor you are now, which may be a very good realtor, or an average realtor, or are you going to go for that top producer? Carrie, didn't you tell me there was a name of someone at the very top, or they were involved in something?
Well, at Aura, the platinum.
Platinum. Okay, so maybe, all right. So
oh no, you're talking about the 1744 Club with Premier.
Okay, 1744 Club. So if that's something that you feel like that's really what you're going to do, you're going to say to yourself, you know what would a 1744 Club member do? They're going to get their computer and they're going to go out and have some Coca-Cola with a friend and talk about real estate at night. All right. Or they're gonna go into that next room. They're gonna get there because you know what? That's what a 1744 club member would do. So what happens when we make these changes is it actually makes our identity change. And in turn, we make the right choices for that identity. And it keeps going. And it's a really great spiral of events. So think about that with that task or some of the tasks that you don't really care to do, or they're just, it'll take a little more effort. Okay. And, you know, I'm going to use an example when I talk about habits, because I'm going to talk about how a new habit is formed and how to extinguish a habit that may be unproductive for you. And I'm going to use, Carrie, you're going to have to help me out because I didn't get a lot of feedback on the, prospecting. So I'm going to use that. All right. But first I want to talk about what a habit is and how it's made. Well, I told you that a habit is formed so that it eases up the brain power. And how it's formed is this. It's formed with a cue, a craving, a response, and a reward. And it makes this loop in our brain. And here's the easiest example I can show you. So you come home from work, kick off your shoes, and you see the TV. Cue. You want to go play video games on the couch. Craving. You go over and you pick up the remote controls, you turn on the TV, and you start playing your video game. Response. You feel satisfied, less stressed. Reward. And so what happens is your brain feels that little bit of dopamine. And when your brain feels that little bit of dopamine, it says, oh, that was good. We like that. Let's do that again. So that's how a habit is formed. Now, does that mean it's going to happen all the time? No. But the more often and frequent you do it, it's going to become a habit. And it's going to be cued when you walk in the house after work and see that TV. So let's
Wine.
Wine. I love it. I love it. Yep.
You walk in the house, you see the bottle, you open it up. Oh, it sounds good. You pour it in, you take a drink, and you feel better.
Exactly.
So true, Maria. So true.
Oh my God. So when you want to start a new habit, and I'm going to use the prospecting as an example, you want to have a cue that's obvious. Now, I don't know if you can do prospecting at home or if you can just do it in the office.
Yes, you
Carrie,
can.
can you help me with that?
You can do it anywhere. That's the great thing about prospecting.
All right. And I'm going to assume you're going to need your computer and probably a list of people, right? A list of possible clients.
You
and so
could do
forth.
it from your CRM. You could do it from a phone. You could do it from all sorts of ways. Lots of ways to
Okay.
prospect.
All right. So whatever your way of doing it, maybe, and is this something that most people do?
They should.
Okay. All right.
If they want to be a top producer in the 1744.
All right. All right. Good. I'm glad to hear that. All right. So let's say you want to either make it happen or you want to improve on it. I'll say let's make it happen, just for a hee-haw. Okay. So you want to make your cue, the first thing, obvious. So one of the ways, the best way to make a habit or an action obvious is to write an appointment for yourself. I mean, how many appointments do you guys have that you keep? You go to your doctors when you're supposed to, I hope. If you have a hair appointment, you're keeping that, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
If you have an appointment with a client, you're keeping that, okay? You know, if you have happy hour with friends at 4 o'clock on a Friday, you're going to keep that. Whatever it is, that time and place is really important. So it's saying it and it's writing it. And sometimes it's even pointing to it. But in any case, I want to take a couple minutes and talk about that block scheduling for a minute. And if you turn the page from your sequential habit list and you turn to the next page, there is a daily plan that I use. I often give it to my clients. Now, I'm sure you guys all have your own system And some of you probably have a daily planner, it's all set up and it's great. But let's say you want to add in this prospecting. Carrie, about how long would you say people spend at it?
Well, you can spend all day, but my suggestion is to spend at least an hour or two.
Okay, but as a newbie trying to get into it again, maybe that's a lot. So I
At
don't know.
least an hour.
All right,
Because
an
if you
hour.
want to get anything done, you need an hour. Whether
All
you're
right.
doing letters or you're going to make phone calls, because you have to research and then do it. So I say you at least give yourself an hour to do it.
All right.
Because people are going
Okay.
to get up, they're going to walk around, they're not actually doing it for the hour. Then
right.
still, let's be real.
Okay, although I do want to talk about that for a minute because of that block time. And I know one of your staff members mentioned that, one of the advisors. So let's say you decide, okay, every morning, and I don't know if this is going to work because of your varying schedules, but at least you make the notation on your calendar that you're going to do it from this time to this time, and maybe just it's an hour. So I'm going to say, let's say 9 to 10. Okay, so you're just going to write it in, and it's going to be prospecting. All right, and I'm writing it in. And I'm putting 9 to 10. So on this, I'm going to just jot that down. And I know you guys do this. And I don't know, Carrie, if you talked about like, outlining or highlighting that whole hour. But what I like to do is I like to get a highlighter and make sure that I see it, that it is in highlight, it is in a color that I like. So it is right there. And once I block it in, this is the thing you have to remember. Block time is sacred time. And sacred time means you're not doing anything else. Yes, if you have to get up to go to the bathroom or you have to stretch, I get it totally. But that is your time that you're spending on it. And if you're going through the computer and you don't need the phone, put the phone away because that can be distracting. If you're using just your phone for that, you're going to have to be really disciplined about not, all of a sudden a notification pops up on social media, like, oh, no, that's sacred time. So it's really important that whatever you do, you use that as sacred time. And I know that you do that with clients, right? You have a schedule and you're not doing anything else, but you're focusing on that client. But what about the time driving from there to the client? I mean, are you using that to talk to your spouse about what to pick up for dinner? Or are you using that time to really think about what you want to get out of the client, how you want to develop the relationship, what you want to make sure that you present to the client or talk about with this house? So again, sacred time, block it all in. And maybe on your way back, that time is used for thinking of follow-up. What am I gonna email her about? Or what am I gonna give her a text about when I stop the car? So that's block scheduling. And I wanted to introduce this planner because I just like it because it also, the one other thing is, see this focus area up here? And I would share my screen, but Carrie, that's gonna be a lot right now because it's your screen. So
yeah,
that new activity that you're gonna start, that new habit, that's gotta go on the top of today's focus. Because anything up on that focus area is your automatic to do, like to do today. So at some point you've got to do it. And you can have a room for a to-do list. I mean, you could put your errands on the way home and pick up your daughter from soccer, whatever. Notes. I'm a health coach too, so I have an area for meals and water intake. But the other thing I kind of like about this one is on the bottom or on the third row is the follow-up. So follow up tomorrow, and obviously you have clients that you're seeing today or talking to, and you might want to follow up with them tomorrow. But the highlights is my favorite part. And it's the minute you finish your prospecting, you put that over here in today's highlight. Did my prospecting, capital letters. All right. You can highlight it if you want, but anything else also that's a really good thing for you. New client, new prospect. You could put your daughter's goal on the soccer team, whatever it is, but your highlights, and it's really important to focus back on that at the end of the day, because that's going to build that confidence. All right. So I wanted to give you that little spiel about the daily planner, and I'm sure you have one, but if you don't, please feel free to use this. And I want to get back to the queue again, because we talked about prospecting as a queue. Now, if it's too hard to actually find a time to do it, we can do it by using habit stacking. And habit stacking is looking at your list of things that you do all the time and then attaching it to the back of it. Because if you always get your cup of coffee in the morning, whether you're home or at work, it's going to be an automatic, like, I'm going to do my prospecting for an hour right after I get my cup of coffee. So if you're at work and you get your cup of coffee and you usually like hang around and find out what's going on with the rest of the colleagues and, you know, or you're scrolling through social media, you know, if you make the decision that you're going to be doing your prospecting right after your coffee, you grab your coffee, you go over to your desk and you start. So that's habit stacking. And that's another cue. Get coffee means I do prospecting. Okay. All right. The next part is the craving. Now, how many of you are craving to prospect?
If only.
That's gonna be a little tricky. The craving, you have to make it attractive. Now, I know that sounds kind of funny, but if you think about it, what might you enjoy having around you while you're doing it? Might it be a little nice music, some Zen music, some jazz, some hip hop, whatever it is that you like. Maybe you have a little speaker, or maybe you have your headphone in that just has that music in the background. Maybe there's a bowl of almonds, yogurt covered almonds, or a little bowl of fruit by your desk. Maybe you need a really nice like spa experience. So you spray some sandalwood air freshener right around your desk, whatever it is that makes it more pleasant to do this. All right. And then the response. The response is the action. Make it easy to do. So instead of like, okay, where the heck are the client stuff? And oh, I've got my phone in my purse. Got it. All right, I got to get to my thing on my computer. Oh, wait a minute, my email says, oh, wait a minute, social media says, okay, just have it up and ready to go. Don't click on any of those other ones. If you have it, maybe as you leave, if you're working in the office, and that's maybe it is going to be with your morning coffee, wherever your cold call list is, have it right there available, whether it's on paper, whether it's on the computer, you just hit the on button, it just pulls it up. So make it easy. All right. So make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy to do, and then reward, make it satisfying. Now, I don't know how satisfied you're going to be after the calls. You might be like, oh my God, I cannot believe, you know, all these people. So you got to do something to give yourself a little bit of an up. Okay. And maybe it's getting up and doing the happy dance. I don't know. At work, it might be a little weird to do, but a lot of you probably like, well, I don't know about a lot of you, but I'm like a to-do list person. So I like to check off, I like to cross off things on my to-do list. All right. Another thing might be that you give yourself 10 minutes of social media time, or to talk with a colleague, or to, you know, take a walk around your yard, whatever it is. All right. But I'm going to go back to that to-do list cross off. So in the Atomic Habits, James Clear writes about this one young man that had this great idea. He had 2 jars on his desk, one on one side with paper clips, one on the other side that was empty. And what he'd do is every time he'd finish that task that he didn't want to do, he would actually have to move the paper clip, pick it up, and move it to the other, which is kind of like crossing off on a to-do list, right? Except when he heard that ping, it was like, I'm done, you know, and it was like one more in the bucket. And the other thing he did is he actually added on his jar some levels. So he put like this little line, and he said, when I get my paper clips up to here, I'm going to get a massage. And he wrote it out. All right. And maybe when he got to the top, he says, I'm going to take a weekend trip. And he wrote that out. So he had little goals along the way that he was rewarding as he was doing these habits. So that ping, that actual physical, seeing that paperclip go into the container, hearing it, and then knowing that there are more rewards to come is often a motivator, right? So those are just a few ways to develop a habit. So hopefully you'll add something into your to-do list of work to improve, to get you better results. Now I want to go back to that list that you made because I don't want that to be for nothing. On your list, if you have any negatives or minus, pick one that you'd really like to extinguish. And, you know, maybe it is just getting distracted. Or maybe it is scrolling through social media at certain times. Or maybe it is talking on the phone to whoever on your way to a client. All right. We're going to do the reverse of that. Make the cue disappear. Don't make it obvious. So if it's your phone, I don't know, put it under the seat of put it under the passenger seat or put it in the glove compartment. If it's junk food, if you're binge eat, just get rid of it. Don't put it in the house so that it makes it disappear. You don't see it. I'm not going to say you won't crave it, but at least it's not going to be there. So when you have the craving, make it unattractive. So I'm going to use the phone for a minute, and I'm just going to give you an example. You know, a lot of people, including myself, the phone buzzes and you pick it up and you're looking at it. No matter where you are, you could be with a client, buzzes, you're going to look at it. Well, that may be actually sabotaging you, okay? Because you're not putting that effort in, that one-on-one time with the client or whoever you're talking to, relationship with family, friends, okay? So maybe if you think about how unattractive it looks, I want you to think about a teenager with their cell phone rolling through social media, okay? And they're looking at it, and you're asking them questions, and they're like, yeah, whatever. All right, so it's not really attractive for anyone else to look at and watch you do that. So make the craving unattractive. The response, instead of making it easy to do, make it really difficult to do. All right, I am a binge watcher. It's awful. I don't do it every night, but when I sit in front of TV and I want to just chill, I cannot stop watching the episodes because they go into the next one. So before I even think about clicking it, it's already starting, right? So first of all, I fix my settings so that it doesn't do that. It doesn't go right into the next one. I didn't know if you could do that, but you can. The other thing I did is I took a timer, a light timer, and I set my TV up on it. So I want to be in bed at 10, okay? So at 9:30, my TV shuts off. It's so annoying, especially when I've already started the next episode. But so I have to get up out of my really comfortable position. I have to go behind, I have to pull out our console that weighs about 100 pounds, go behind there, and like, there's so many wires. And I did it on purpose. I mixed them all up so they have to go through and out, you know. So it would be such a pain to do it that I'm just like halfway, I'm like, you know what, I'll just take the dogs out now. I'm up, make my lunch, and then I'll go to bed. So if you're making the response really difficult to do, you're gonna do it less. All right. And lastly, the reward, make it satisfying. So when you haven't been, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe you look at yourself in a new way, you know, put on a really pretty top and like, or put on some jewelry and they're like, you know what? I look great, and keep that with you. All right. I know for me, if I get to bed at 10 o'clock, I like to hear the ocean waves and I put that on and I'm just like, and I'm kind of giving myself, because I make it before the bedtime chime. If I make it before the bedtime chime, I'm like, so those are ways to extinguish a habit. Okay. All right. So let's get back to that task that we were talking about creating a new habit. Okay. And Carrie, I don't know if I can share this screen.
You can
I
if I
share it?
Hold on a second. Hold on.
I just want to,
Yep, go ahead,
I
you
want
can.
you- okay. All right, 1 second. I want to bring this up. Okay. Hang on a minute. Okay, so, oh, can you see it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I want to be able to move it down. All right, so we're gonna go to the last page of this packet that I gave you, and it's these circles, and it's kind of a spiral, okay? And I want you to think about that task or something that you could do at Sotheby's with your work to get you better results. Now, whether it's prospecting or whether it's going out and meeting people in the community, whatever it is, maybe it's your CRMs, okay? Whatever it is, building your client base, referrals. Could you actually write the results you might get from putting in that much more effort, doing a little bit more effort? Like, what would prospecting for an hour every day bring you as far as results?
What do you guys
So
think? Well, more listings, which would get you how much more money?
Right, so
A lot
if
more
you
money.
if the results are going to get you more listings, put that into your results, okay? I don't know if I can actually do this on here, but all right. So what is it going to do for you financially? If you can even write how much money you think you're going to be making more, or even a percentage, what would that look like for you with your finances? I mean, obviously it would improve your finances, but maybe be more specific. And if you had those finances, how would that help you with your health and well-being? What might you be able to do that you're not doing now? For example, maybe you're getting a massage once a week, or maybe you're going to a spa every month, or maybe you're able to buy some of those really healthy foods that are so expensive, but now you're able to buy them for your family. And then in turn, what would having the financial and the health and well-being of all of this do for your family or any other relationships you have? And finally, what would it do for you as your future potential? Who would you become? What doors would it open? What possibilities would you have? Remember the vision you had earlier? Does it align with that same person? And if it doesn't, what needs to be tweaked? But if it does, then you're on the right track. So you know how to get there. It's just really putting these little tiny changes into place. So I would recommend 2 things for you guys. I would, number 1, recommend, if I can find this, I wanted to show you these. I don't know if I have it. Okay, you might be able to see this, not as big as I would want, but
Yeah.
this is the book Atomic Habits, Tiny Changes, Remarkable Results. I would suggest that everyone read this. It is an easy read. It is a great read. I think you'll get a lot out of it, just in life. But really, for your job, I think it would be amazing. And I think you need to find some accountability, whether it's with a colleague, or a friend, a spouse, maybe even getting a life coach. But sometimes it's nice to have that accountability to that person that maybe you're gonna both make a habit change or or add a habit in. And maybe you're both doing different ones, but you can kind of talk to each other about it. So that gives you that support. And of course, you have Carrie's support. And if you need my support, my website and my email is in the, I think it's on the,
It's on the front of the packet.
on the front of the packet. Please feel free to contact me. I'm really, really into habit change and growth. So if there are any other questions or comments, I would love to hear. I hope this somehow got you a little more motivated for a Monday.
Breaking.
Maria's
I
gonna
know,
stop
Mondays
drinking.
are tough.
Well, I thank you, Marie. That was amazing. I think everybody agrees. And Atomic Habits is right off of our ninja reading list. So you are right online with that. Absolutely.
Awesome. Excellent. All right. Well, listen, it was great to meet all of you. And I love the responses from you guys that did respond. And I hope that you all got something out of it. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. And here's to getting a little more of that potential in.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much, Marie.
Thank you.
All
Bye.
right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Thank you.